Yeah, guys, welcome. It's Monday night. My name is Bud. We do this every week at this time. You know the drill. I'm here to answer your questions on international dating and marriage. Anything you want to ask about who we are, what we do, the women that you can meet in the 8 different countries that we're currently conducting romance singles tours in. So that's a lot, right? That's a big umbrella. So whatever falls under that umbrella, whatever topic you got in mind, whatever questions on your heart, you should get out. This is how we do this every week, just to get information to you and get your questions out of the way so you can become enabled and empowered and pumped up and motivated to get off your couch, away from your computer, and into the reality, the great, exciting reality of international dating and marriage. So behind me, you'll see lots of great video tonight. We've got video from all over the world. We hold social events everywhere. These are basically singles parties, if you will. There are singles parties all over the place. You know, you've heard of single parties before, right? Probably have them somewhere in your own particular city or hometown. But this is just another kind of singles event where some really great men who traveled with me in July and throughout the year are meeting some of our really lovely women clients. A lot of this will be in Ukraine. We'll see some Medellin tonight. We've got a bunch of stuff that we're going to put out in front of you tonight. All right, you guys will ask your questions about anything you're looking at, anything you want to know as it relates to loveme.com, a foreign affair, our romance tours, meeting the women, etc. You can do that by clicking the green box that's right above me. See that green box? It tells you can text me your questions. Click that box. Text me your questions. And I'll answer your questions. I'll read them aloud and answer them for everybody tonight. So we all contribute to the discussion. We all help each other. We all lock arms as men, and we all move forward out of our lonely lives into something much, much more exciting and what we're truly meant for, right? Got a lot of stuff going on. I got a little topic for you tonight. My topic got hijacked by gremlins last week, but got it back. So we'll have a little topic tonight for you, something I want to cover a little bit. We're going to talk a little bit about signs from international women when you're dating, some signs that she might not be into you, or I guess if you want to look at it conversely, signs that she definitely is into you. But if you're getting the vibe on a date that a particular girl is not into you, what you can do about it, we'll talk about that tonight in just a little bit and answer a lot of your questions. So, you know, one of our favorite things to do, man, we've got so much going on this week. Where do I even begin? One of our favorite things to do is to get out in front of you guys and give you a free international dating seminar. If you take all the stuff that we talk about in about a year's time and condense it into one 4-hour period, throw in coffee and lunch, you've got an international dating seminar. We've got a whole bunch of them coming up between now and the end of the year. I've been doing them all year long, and right now John Adams, our CEO, his lovely wife Tanya, she's from Russia, they've been married for 20 years, really the founder of our whole entire organization and really this industry, having started a foreign affair in 1994. John and Tanya will be out in front of you guys, coast to coast, answering a lot of great questions and offering you some really great incentives if you decide you want to travel with us. And what we have on deck, some good stuff. We've got Boston and Montreal on deck. So Boston will be October 13th, Montreal will be October 14th. That's Saturday and Sunday respectively, 11 to 3 each day. And if you want to see where the venues are going to be, which conference rooms we're going to be at, you can check the addresses at loveme.com. Just look at our upcoming free dating seminar schedule, or write to me, bud at loveme.com. I would ask you for an RSVP to make sure we've got proper seating for you. Just write to me, bud at loveme.com. Boston, October 13th. Montreal, October 14th. We're going to do one here in Phoenix on October 27th. That's a Saturday. Again, 11 to 3 here at our corporate headquarters. We'll be in Las Vegas on the 28th, Seattle on November 3rd, and that's just the seminars that we have on deck. We got a whole bunch of international dating seminars coming up that are really exciting. We've got some starting this week in Davao in Costa Rica. Some of you guys are on the fence, but if you want to go to Davao City in the Philippines, man, we have so many engagements that come out of the Philippines. So many. And we've got a tour starting in Davao this Thursday, which you could still participate in if you get on the horn right away and let me know. Costa Rica, San Jose, Costa Rica this Thursday, also on deck. Later the month, one of our great destinations, Lima, Peru. We love Lima, Peru. We've got a great staff, tons of very beautiful women in Lima. It's such a great city to visit. Lima, Peru. And then Cartagena, Colombia, November 1st. Will be 1 week before the Miss Colombia event, which is a huge, huge festive time in Cartagena, Colombia every year. So we'll do our tour just before that. You guys may choose to extend your stay a little bit. We're looking at some video footage from Cartagena now, from our most previous tour to Cartagena, Colombia. Some of the beautiful women that you can no doubt meet when you're there. Guys, let me tell you, if you have an eye toward Latin America, the women are beautiful, very family oriented, very easy to date and engage and get to know. 2.5, 3 hours away by plane anytime you want to go see them. Cheap airfare. There are so many reasons to meet the women in Latin America. And we'll have some video footage right there from our most recent tour to Medellin. This video footage you're looking at right now, these girls in Medellin, that video is about 2 weeks old, 3 weeks old. So pretty exciting. And then, of course, we've got Kiev and Kharkov in Ukraine, November 22nd. That's a Thanksgiving tour, guys. Right? Got nothing going on in Thanksgiving. You can come to Ukraine with us for an exciting romance tour. And then Shenzhen, China, November 22nd as well. So that's a lot. I mean, that is a lot going on between now and the end of the year. And then we'll pick up 2019. I can't believe we're 90 days away from 2019. But a lot of exciting opportunities for you guys. If you're watching right now, you're lonely, you're sad, you should be. You know, you weren't meant to be lonely and sad. It's okay, it's human, it's life. But you weren't meant for it. You definitely were meant for the reality of a life mate in your life. You were meant to put your arms around somebody and hold that girl close and have her every day and every night to talk to be with, to have dinner with, you know, to spend your life with. You know, to go through life's adventures with, to create love and have it every day and celebrate and live in that love. You were meant for that. You know, maybe the cards have been dealt and the person you were meant to find just doesn't happen to be from your hometown. She's not in your backyard. But it's a big world and there are lots of ways to traverse distance and meet women. People fly in planes all year long, right? People go to tourist destinations all the time. The places that we go to are very, very touristy. And so in addition to meeting the women and having a great romantic experience, you're going to have a really great vacation just meeting beautiful women in a great city with a lot of tourists around doing a lot of cool stuff. And maybe that's the reality that you were meant for. Maybe that's how you go and find her, the one girl who's waiting to be discovered by you that you can spend the rest of your one life on this gigantic speck of dust with, right? So yeah. All right, guys, I'm going to answer a few of your questions right now, and then I'm going to jump into my topic for tonight. Click the green box above me. I'll get through as many questions as I can. My name is Bud. We're looking at video from our recent single social party in Medellin. Look at that. Look at those beautiful women sitting at that table with no one to talk to, because you're not there to talk to them. Sean from Columbus, is it possible to bring a Ukrainian woman I've been corresponding with to America if she has a passport and has been to America before? She'll need a visa, and the visa needs to be issued by the U.S. government. If you're talking about a tourist visa, it's not likely she's going to get one. It's not impossible, Sean, but it's hard for women to get tourist visas from the Ukraine. More than likely, you'll go and you'll meet her. And then the two of you will create whatever relationship you create, and then there may be a visa as a result of that. You may do a fiancé visa at some point and have her come to America, so it may be that. Mark says, I finally took your advice, got off my computer, and I'm going to the seminar in Boston October 13th. Mark, tell you what, I believe in the law of attraction, my friend, and you do too. And it says whenever you take an action, whenever you get up and do anything, you start drawing more of the same to you. One day you'll take a French language class. The next thing you know, you're taking a French cooking class. Then you're meeting people who speak French. Then you're going to Paris. It just works that way. It just does. So you saw the website, you tuned into the webcast, you kept watching. Now you're coming to the seminar. Good for you, my man. Good for you. You'll love the seminar. John and Tanya are great, man. The last time I saw John do a seminar, when it was over, I told him how proud of him I was, because he's as passionate as ever, and it's such a great seminar. You'll love it, I promise you. Dennis says, Bud, do you feel 90 days is long enough to know someone? I think a 90-day visa is not long enough. Dennis, I agree. I think we should have more time for the 90-day visa. This is when you get a visa to bring your girl here so the two of you can get married. But we're only going to get 90 days, and that's unfortunate. It is what it is. Our government did that to us. But I do think that it's quite healthy and entirely possible to create your courtship and carry that courtship forward so that by the time you do your fiancé visa, it's really an afterthought. You've been together, you truly love each other, you've tested that relationship, you've had your ups and downs, a few disagreements here and there like all couples have. You're shining through all of that, you're strong as ever, it sucks to be apart, you miss each other, you want to be together, you know you were meant for each other, and that's when you do the fiancé visa. And when she comes here, you know you're going to get married. You just know. The fiancé visa at that point is just a method by which the two of you can do what you already want to do, already know you want to do, and that is to get married and make that relationship permanent. I'm going to answer some of your questions, and we'll get into a little topic tonight. We're watching video footage from the July Kiev, Ukraine social. Fine group of men. I was on tour with a fine group of women they're meeting too. Fred says, can I send a letter to a woman that has canceled her account if I communicated with her before? There's a darn good question. I don't know, to be honest with you, Fred. On our website, the answer is yes. Someone's telling me in the background. Okay, cool, Fred. Apparently you can. If you've written to her before and she's canceled her account and you had that connection together, you apparently can continue to communicate with her. If she's canceled her account and you haven't written to her before, then you can't write to her. So there you go, Fred. Nice. All right. Chris says, Bud, I booked my flight. Good for you, Chris. I messaged a couple of women. My AFA tour package is all paid up, and I've been working on my dancing in Spanish. Chris, man, let me tell you, dude. That's how you do it. Any last minute advice before I head to Cartagena in November? Cartagena, Colombia. What a great freaking city, man. What a great place. Dude, you got your tour paid for well in advance. You're working on your dancing and your Spanish. You embody the great quote from Tony Robbins, which says, success is commitment followed by massive dedicated action. Way to go, Chris. Way to go. Any last minute advice? I don't know. I mean, if you're comfortable with yourself, that's great. Sometimes we're going to travel, we're going to meet people socially. If we feel like losing 10 pounds, we can get out and exercise a little bit before our trip. Other than that, Chris, honestly, I'm just glad you're doing what you're doing. Spanish is probably a good idea. We've got great interpreters in our Latin American destinations, and great interpreters do such a great job for us in Colombia. But a good number of the women, including some of the most beautiful women you've ever seen in your life, you will meet, but they don't speak English yet, and you definitely want to be able to at least speak some phrases to them, right? The good news is, Chris, after a few dates, the women are going to get pretty comfortable with you, and there's all kinds of technology available to help the two of you communicate to each other without necessarily having a third wheel live translator around, right? So translators are a very important part of helping people get introduced, building rapport, and establishing that relationship with momentum. A lot of guys fight that idea, and I'm telling you, it's a mistake. It really is. We're the ones who chose to get on a plane and go to another country to pursue women for love and marriage, where the women don't necessarily speak English, right? I mean, think about it. It's a very manly, smart thing for us, having made that decision to learn a little language. I mean, it's not hard to learn 30 words. It's definitely not hard to learn 30 phrases in someone's language, 30 basic phrases. You can do that in so many places all over the internet. And if you need recommendations, reach out to me, bud@loveme.com, and I'll help you with that. But Chris, you're in a good place, my brother. I think you're fine. Will the new Medellin video be available for us to view on loveme.com? It's up and running already, says my man. First of all, you can see it on our YouTube channel, no doubt, right? So click the YouTube icon at the top of loveme.com and you can find it there. Or
tour video page.
The tour video page. Excellent. We have a tour video page and it's there for you as well. Great. Right on, Kirk. Thanks. David says, how do we go about testing the relationship? Do we push things? David, I think, great question. That's a great question. But it's the natural order of relationships that they're going to be tested, right? You're going to be in that initial stage, and then there will be a misunderstanding due to the language barrier. It'll just happen. You'll say one thing, she'll say another. The two of you will misunderstand each other. Feelings will get hurt. You got to talk it out. What did you really mean? What did she really mean? You'll do that. There'll be times when you have time apart, right? You've met each other. You've created your love relationship. You're deeply in love. Everything's great. And then there's our tour video page for you right there, guys, right? Ask and you shall receive. And then you've got this distance between the two of you that you've got to navigate. You've got to do something about it. The distance itself can be a little bit of a problem. As you're developing your relationship and learning what each other likes and dislikes, what your wants and needs are, those little tests are going to naturally come up. I don't know if you need to necessarily push something. I think that whatever your priorities are as a couple, David, whatever you and your girl decide are important to the two of you together, those things are going to naturally come to the front and you'll talk about them. I think for most couples, it's exciting to get to know somebody with whom you have high compatibility. It's exciting to share common ground. It's exciting to meet somebody. Isn't it a great feeling when you meet somebody and she's attracted to you and you feel that really strong chemistry between the two of you and you agree on the way you look at the world and relationships and so many things? Isn't that incredibly refreshing? After so many opportunities that just aren't as compatible, right? So your relationship, a natural love relationship, is going to be tested, and you are going to shine through those tests, you and your girl, no doubt about it. A few more questions, guys, and then we're going to talk about our topic tonight. Thank you for joining us, guys. We do this every Monday night. Isn't this great? Seriously, isn't this great? We're hanging out, we're answering your questions in a live event, and you're watching video footage. This is very real, guys. This is not a staged event at all. These are men just like you who got on a plane and traveled with me or someone, John, one of our great tour leaders, and met these fantastic and beautiful women in this really cool environment. And everybody's smiling and happy and having a good time, meeting each other so easily. And at the end of this social event, people went out on dates. People went out and hung out together, holding hands, walking through the city, having dinner, having a drink, eating sushi, whatever you like to do on a date. It's cool. It's a great opportunity. It is the uber social environment. It really is. I don't know if I can use that word, but I just did. So, all right. Antonio says, women whose profiles are removed per the woman's request. Does that mean they're no longer with you guys? Technically, yeah, Antonio. If they remove their profile, one of two things happens. If you see a girl's profile removed, either she met somebody or maybe we were unable to reach her. If she went on a vacation or left town or something happened and we weren't able to reach her for a little while, we can't get the communication going back and forth if we're not able to reach her. So we might suspend her profile for a little bit until we can reach her again. That's a very typical kind of event. Most of the time it just means that the women have met somebody and then we all move on and we're happy for her, right? One more question. How many guys are on the tour to Cebu, Philippines? Mark, great question. Got to be honest with you, I haven't checked that. My logistics coordinator is a fabulous young lady named Michelle. She's all over that, and I haven't looked to see exactly how many guys we have on the Cebu tour. I'm sorry for that. We normally have about 20 guys going to Cebu at a time, so I expect it's about that. Great questions, guys. Keep them coming. Click the green box above me. It tells you how you can text me your questions. Remember, when you ask a question, you're asking it for everybody, not just for yourself. I mean, this really is kind of the benefit of doing what we do, right? You ask a question, other people hear that question and think, wow, that's a good question. Wish I'd ask that. We're looking at video footage from Kiev, Ukraine. Yeah, that's how you do it. Man, that's how you have fun at a social with 400 women. You smile, you dance. Let it all hang out. Man, my friend Thomas, that dude, he smiled from the moment I saw him on the first day of the tour, and he smiled right up until the last moment that I saw him on the last day of the tour. Beautiful guy. Guys, because we're dating in this environment women from different cultures. I mean, we're in different countries, in foreign cities, and we're meeting women. Some speak English, some don't, and we're dating them. We're going out on dates just like we do here in America. We're going out for dinner, we're going out for sushi, we're going out for a movie, we're going bowling and pizza. We're doing this stuff. We're going out for ice cream, whatever it is, coffee and dessert. And sometimes, because of the cultural dynamics at play, we may or may not understand right away whether or not the girl is really into us. I mean, if we're on a date, let's face it, there's a reason we're on this date. We want the girl to reciprocate the exact interest that we have in her, right? In this environment, guys are definitely taking the initiative. It's very important to women, in fact, that guys take the initiative. Sometimes in our culture, that's hard for guys to do, but you'll learn very quickly in the Philippines, in China, in Colombia, in Peru, in Thailand, in Ukraine, the women want you to take initiative, want you to walk up to them, talk to them, and ask them out for a date. And of course, they'll respond positively and you go out on a date. Well, you're out on a date and you're doing the things you would normally do here. Typically the women are much more receptive than many of us experience here. But there are cultural dynamics, right? Does she speak English well? Does she speak a little bit? Do we need an interpreter? What kind of environment are we in? What kind of food am I eating? This is new food. I'm not used to Ukrainian cuisine. What the heck is pelmeni? And we're just wondering how this is going. I mean, is she into me? Is she not? I hear guys all the time at breakfast. Breakfast is such a great event on our singles tours because I will hang out, I'll go around the room, I'll meet everybody. How's it going? How was your day yesterday? How was your evening last night? Tell me about your dates. What did you experience? And what frequently comes up are guys saying, I met her and I really liked her, but I wasn't sure if she liked me. And I can usually listen and tell just from experience the guys relaying to me, yeah, she definitely liked you. This was definitely a sign that she likes you. But there are nuances that we should kind of have our minds wrapped around a little bit. So let's talk about that right now. Imagine you've gone on a tour, you're hanging out with us, you're out on dates with these beautiful girls, and you want to know, how do I know whether or not this girl is into me or not into me? And if she's not into me, how do I know that for sure, and what do I do about it? So let's talk about some of that. Some of this is incredibly obvious, some of it not so much, but here we go. Signs that she's not into you and what to do about it. I thought this was interesting. I saw this picture and I thought, this is a romantic smile. There's a difference between a polite smile and a romantic smile. I guarantee you, guys have been on dates where a girl was smiling politely. She was being friendly. She might even really like you socially, and she thinks you're funny. So she's smiling at you politely, or she's smiling at you socially, but she's not smiling at you romantically. A romantic smile is a very different smile. You've experienced a romantic smile before. You've been on the receiving end of that. I bet when I say those two words together, romantic smile, an image comes to mind of a girl you once knew, once dated, or partnered with, and she had that smile. And it was the precursor to a kiss. It was the precursor to holding hands or hugging each other, an embrace, intimacy. You just knew when she smiles like that, that's the playful smile. That's the playful, romantic smile. If you're on a date with a girl from Ukraine, or a girl from China, or the Philippines, or Thailand, or Colombia, I guarantee you can see it, in fact, in these videos. Watch how the women are reacting to the men, and watch how they smile. It's not a polite, courteous smile. It's a long smile. She's looking you up and down as she's smiling at you. She's not just giving you that polite, brief smile and then looking away. She's looking at you. She's leaning in. She's smiling. She's making eye contact. The eye contact lingers. It's not breaking away. She's holding that smile for you, and you can tell it's that subtle, or maybe not so subtle, romantic invitation, that kind of smile. On a date, even a first date, a second date, you definitely should be getting that romantic, playful smile. The smile that draws you in, the smile that says, look at me, look at my eyes, look at my smile. I guarantee you we will see some of that in our video, and I'll try and point it out to you as I see it. But does she smile at you romantically? That's a really, really important. Look at all those women. Did you see that? Good Lord. That was Odessa, Ukraine, guys. Goodness. She's smiling at you romantically, and the smile is accompanied by other body language, right? That lingering look, that leaning in toward you, maybe a little bit of contact if she's holding your hand or closing proximity. It's an inviting smile. It's a very feminine, flirty, inviting smile. You should be looking for a romantic smile. If you date a girl and there's no romantic smile, she's definitely not into you. No, it's possible she's nervous. It's possible she's shy. But if you clearly communicate to her, I find you really attractive, I think you're so interesting, I really like the way you look at things, I really love listening to you talk, I love that accent, I love the way you speak English words, it's very, very interesting and flirty and romantic and attractive. If you compliment her without being completely crazy, but if you compliment her a few times and clearly send her the signal that you're attracted to her and you like her, she should smile back romantically, because that's good news to her. She wants you to feel that way, and she's going to invite more of that behavior from you. If there's a wall, if she's resisting, if she's not responding, right? She's not smiling romantically. Think about it. She won't narrow the space between. Here's another way of knowing that the girl's not into you. Now, sometimes we have to be careful not to close proximity too quickly. And there are ways to close proximity that are appropriate in some cultures and maybe not appropriate in other cultures. But she won't close the space in between. There's a table in between you and you're not holding hands across the table. There's an interpreter in between you and she won't stand next to you. She wants somebody in between you. Are you experiencing those kinds of behaviors where she seems to be going a little bit out of her way to not close proximity to you, to not be close to you, to not allow the possibility for the two of you to touch each other? If you touch a woman on a date, and I'm not talking inappropriately at all, guys. I'm just talking a subtle caress, which should definitely be the part of every date, including a first date. Shucks, including your introduction and these social events. You should definitely initiate some little kind of caress or contact and watch your reaction. And the reaction should be one of welcome, one of acceptance, not one of resistance. It may not mean that, if you reach out to touch her hand or you reach out to just caress her arm for a moment, that she's going to wrap her arms around you. I'm not necessarily suggesting that, but you'll know what I'm talking about. You reach out, you caress, you touch, and she draws you in. She's okay with that. She shows you signs of acceptance and interest. If she's not letting you narrow the space in between, she's not attracted to you. That's all there is to it. That's all there is to it. If you're on a first date or a second date, I have guys tell me, man, on the first date, she took my arm, we were walking down the street together. On the first date, we were holding hands across the table. I kissed her. At the end of our first date, she was perfectly happy with that. Little kiss on the cheek, close to the mouth. Everything was fine. That's great. That's very typical, accepting contact for very typical flirtatious contact on a first date, right? If she's nothing but a wall, this invisible wall between the two of you, on a first date, second date, introduction, that is definitely a sign of a lack of a mutual attraction or a lack of interest on her part, right? So you have to definitely test that proximity. You have to reach out very subtly and very carefully at first and just initiate a little bit of touch. Now think about this. You're standing with somebody, and you reach over and you just caress her arm for a moment. That's just a little bit of touch. It lasts 2 or 3 seconds, right? Just, hey, you're very beautiful. Well, our taxi's here. Whatever. You're at dinner and her hand is on the table and you just reach over and grab her little finger between your 2 fingers and just caress her little finger for a moment. How are you? How do you feel? Are you okay? Just initiating the slightest subtle touch, but it's touch and it's direct. And she's not pulling her hand away and she's smiling that flirtatious romantic smile. You want that kind of dynamic and you want that chemistry and that dynamic to build over the course of the date. If she finds it hard to focus, one of the things that I really like about watching our videos of our social events is a guy could be sitting at a table with 4 women and they're all looking at him and they're all interacting with him, sometimes 5 or 6 women, and it's like they're all talking to him, they're all listening to him, they're all watching him. You don't usually have a guy and a girl talking and the other 4 are on their phones or paying no attention or their eyes are darting around the room. When you're out on a date with an international girl, the 2 of you are there, you found each other. There's great magic in that. You came halfway around the world to find this girl. Her life, busy, hardworking, not a lot of fun, not a lot of dates, not a lot of romance. And in the case of many, many women in a lot of places, no romance in recent memory at all. And suddenly you show up, this foreign guy who looks good, you sound kind of interesting, and you've got a great attitude and you're well balanced emotionally and you look pretty dang fly. You look masculine, you're interesting, and now you're out on a date and you're in an environment that's fun and she's relaxed. She's on a date and it's romantic. She should be focused on you, smiling, listening to your answers, clarifying where there's any misunderstanding of your answer, complimenting your ideas. I notice that women on dates, guys will tell me all the time that they like the way that women on dates respond to them. I will say something and she'll say, wow, that's interesting. Wow, that's a great perspective. It's positive feedback that men get on dates. Yeah, and women need that as well. So she's not just looking at her interpreter a lot, please you say something because I'm tired of talking to this guy. She's talking to you, she's looking at you, and the interpreter has to stop her sometimes in order to translate because she's so eager to talk to you. Well, hold on, let me translate that, hold on. And the interpreter has to do that sometimes because she's so eager to talk to you, right? She's not on her cell phone, or she's on her cell phone minimally, right? She's not darting around the room. Her eyes aren't all over the place. Her eyes are on you, not over your shoulder, not across the room at another table. She's looking at you. She's focused on you. She's listening to what you're saying. She's giving you good feedback. She's got great eye contact, right? If she's quiet and she's not involved in the conversation and the translator is really pulling teeth to get her to talk, then you just know clearly that she's not into it, right? All right. And again, if she does not initiate touch, this is part of that closing the proximity. I find that if a woman and a man, the women and the men who date in this environment, they're attracted to each other, they're interested in each other, I find that women will initiate some kind of touch. And if you initiate some kind of touch, they will typically initiate some kind of touch back. Why? Because they're trying to pull you in. They're trying to claim you. I've heard this many, many times from men who go to the Philippines, who go to Thailand. I've seen it many, many times for the men going to Latin America and to the Ukraine, to Russia, to places like that. Women, if you initiate a little bit of touch and you are clearly signaling, I really like you, I'd really like you to like me, I really want us to like each other enough to be exclusive to each other, I don't want to meet other women, if you like me as much as I like you, you are clearly the girl I came to meet. How do you feel about me? And as a gentleman, as somebody who really likes this girl, as someone who just showed up in her life that she's not seen before, something entirely unique, she's not going to miss that opportunity to try and draw you in, to try and claim you. So she's going to initiate a little bit of touch as well. The most common way that I find in Ukraine, for example, for women to do that, it's a bit old-fashioned, but it's very, very cute. Women will take your arm when you walk down the street. And a great way to test that proximity is you just hold your arm out, like they did in the 1950s, for crying out loud. You hold your arm out, and she'll take her hands and put them on your arm and on your biceps, literally. As you're walking down the street, she's holding on to your arm. And of course, you extend your arm is out. And then she takes your arm, and she's probably almost a foot away from you. And then you bring your arm in and you draw her into you, right? And now her hands are touching your body and your arms are touching her forearms, and you're tightly, almost cuddled up as you're walking down that street. And it's a very romantic gesture. And it's very rare that a woman will hold a man's arm and stand that tightly with him. She's not interested and not attracted to him. If she's willing to hold your arm and walk down the street, she is definitely following your lead in closing that proximity and establishing some kind of touch and acceptance. So again, if she never initiates any kind of touch at all, that's probably a sign that she's not attracted to you and just not feeling it, right? So again, she's not responding to your likes and your dislikes. She's not saying anything, she's not expressing, I like this, I like that, you like that, we like that, how interesting, we like the same things. She doesn't ask very many questions. You're finding very little common ground, and she seems focused on that one date, meaning she's not talking about, you like Ukrainian food? Why don't we go to a Ukrainian restaurant on the next date? You like art museums? There's a great art museum in this city. Why don't we go to the art museum? She's not suggesting anything happening after this one date. She sounds like she's just trying to get through that one date. The guys make mistakes sometimes when we date internationally. It's not our fault. There's a lot to learn. That's why we do these webcasts. But some of the mistakes that guys make are not asking open-ended questions. I know, for example, I'm sorry to say it, but a lot of guys, man, I just did a tour with 60 guys, 55 of whom were absolutely glorious. There were a few guys on the tour that needed a little bit of coaching because they wouldn't shut up about themselves. I mean, I'm the smartest guy in the room. Just trust me. Ask me, whatever you want. I've got a perfect answer for it. Whatever you think doesn't particularly matter. I don't really need to know much about you because I know you're just going to be excited about how much I know about everything. I mean, there literally are a few men. One particular gentleman comes to mind. I remember I could see him just holding this girl's hand and talking and talking and talking and talking and talking, and she was just nodding her head. I could tell she didn't understand most of what he was saying. He was talking too fast. Every now and then, because we're nervous, we turn that nervousness into self-absorption, and that's a dangerous date killer, guys. It really is. Women want to talk about themselves because women don't get to talk about themselves. They want to know about you, but they want somebody to be interested in them. It's very important that you ask open-ended questions, wait for the answer. So tell me about your family. What do you like about your job? So tell me about your city. What are your favorite places in the city? What do you do in your spare time? Tell me some of those things. In other words, questions that beg something other than a yes or no answer are very important on a date, right? Be touchable. Yourself, smile. It amazes me how many guys go on a tour and they act like I'm really, really depressed. Eeyore. Oh my God, so many women. Don't know. Just don't be that guy. That was a bad Eeyore impersonation, I'm sorry, but don't be that guy. Smile, be friendly, be approachable, and be touchable. Be kind and be gentle with your eyes, with your expressions. So many guys show up on dates in Ukraine, and it's just clear that they want to talk about themselves more than they want to talk about the girl on the date. What a colossal mistake. What a killer mistake, right? Touch carefully, but do touch. But be appropriate when you touch. Guys sometimes will make a mistake of pushing it a little too far and getting a little too, maybe after an alcohol, drink or two, something like that, a little alcohol. Just be careful about that. Don't cross too many barriers too soon, but definitely initiate that friendly, warm, welcoming, inviting touch. Offer your arm. It's the best thing you can do when you're out on a date. Many women are surprised by that. It's a very old-fashioned thing. Guys, sometimes in another culture, something casual like holding hands is a very intimate act. This is definitely true in Ukraine. It's interesting, isn't it? Because in America, holding hands is a very kind of introductory way for people to touch each other. I mean, you're holding hands and no other body parts are touching. You're just kind of holding hands, right? It's a very common thing for American couples to do in their first dating. And yet, in some cultures, it's a little bit more intimate. We don't hold hands until we're kissing each other, and I mean, because it's that intimate for some cultures, for some couples. So again, just hold that arm out. If you sense that she's not comfortable, keep it out for a little bit. Let her kind of hang out there a few inches away from you. And if it's getting cuddly and warm and friendly, then just draw her in. Lead her right in, tight to your body with your arm. What an inviting, wonderful, gentlemanly way to establish that wonderful, intimate connection together, right? Yeah. So smile romantically. You want to see that from her. You want to be smiling romantically at her. You want to close that proximity together. It's very important. Find ways to do that. Offer your arm. Be focused on her. If you want her to be focused on you, you definitely want her to be focused on you. You want to be focused on her. You can't be, your eyes darting around the room, looking at other women walking by, which is always an easy thing to do, guys, right? Especially in a social event like the ones we're watching. Keep your eyes right on that girl. Make her feel like the spotlight is definitely on her when you're getting to know her. And it's okay to initiate touch, but do it very respectively and appropriately. And again, just be warm and inviting and friendly and positive, and you'll definitely know if she's into you. And I got good news for you guys. The truth is, the vast majority of time when you're out on dates with women from another country, as long as you're being realistic, as long as you're meeting women who are appropriate for you, women who are age appropriate, she's going to respond in kind to all of your interests. The only time guys get in trouble is when they reach a little bit too far, particularly in the age difference category, where the women might find it interesting. If I've been studying English, I'm a young girl just out of college, it might be interesting to talk to a native English speaker. You have women in China, women in Ukraine, women in Thailand, women all over the world who study English but never speak to a native English speaker. So suddenly it's interesting when you show up and you want to buy them a sushi dinner and speak English, and the young girls will go, sure, why not? What can it hurt? But they're not really thinking romantically because the age gap is too broad. So again, be realistic. And you'll draw women into you who are definitely interested in you, and you'll get all the signs that she's definitely into you more often than not, my friends. I hope that presentation was helpful for you. Hope you enjoyed it as much as I enjoyed doing it to you. And I want more of your questions because that's what we're here for. We've got plenty of time for them. Guys, we got seminars coming up next weekend, the 13th and 14th of October in Boston and Montreal. Mes amis, allons-y, mes amis. So you can come out to see us in Montreal, and you can come out to see us in Boston. October 13th in Boston, 11 to 3. October 14th in Montreal. I told John, just leave the seminar, get in your rental car, and head for Montreal. You'll hit Vermont about the time the sun is coming down over all those beautiful hills covered with autumn leaves. It'll be the most striking and beautiful thing. Man, go New England. Love it. So again, guys, October 13th, October 14th, if you want to come to either seminar, please RSVP bud@loveme.com. Bud, like buddy, bud@loveme.com. We need the RSVP to make sure we have proper seating, enough refreshments, plenty of coffee, sandwiches, whatever we're doing there. That's it, right? The seminars are free. They're interesting. They're 4 hours long, tons of video, lots of questions. It just would be a great opportunity for you to meet other guys who are interested in doing what you're doing, getting some great information. And if you feel like traveling with us, we'll save you some money when you make deposits on some of our future tour programs. So lots of reasons to come out, guys. And then October 27th, we'll be in Phoenix, here in our October headquarters. So make an RSVP to come to Phoenix as well, guys. It'll be great to meet you then. All right. More questions from you. Awesome guys. Here on a Monday night, wanting to get your information so you can move forward. Right on. Okay, here we go. Rick says, how does one truly know the lady you like is really into you? Rick, my brother, you know I love you. Appreciate you so much. I believe I just gave him all that great information. Mel said, on my previous website, I had a list of Russian phrases and a voice that pronounced them. Wow, Mel, take me back. Holy crap, dude. That is an oldie but a goodie, isn't it? I thought it was a great learning tool. Whatever happened with that? Well, I buried it. But I'll tell you what, Melvin, one great tool, guys, quite honestly. All right, so here are a few tools for you to learn a foreign language. Number one, Google Translate has a great function for you to be able to, you can go to Google Translate and type some simple phrases. Hello, how are you? How do you feel today? I love the weather. Are you hungry? And let Google translate them. When they translate them, you can press the volume button and hear the voice of somebody speaking those translated words in that language and how they're pronounced correctly. It's quite interesting, but you can do this in all the languages on Google Translate. So you can hear how words are pronounced by translating them from English to Russian, English to Spanish, English to Chinese, and then hitting that volume button and listening to what they sound like in Chinese or Russian, etc. It's a very cool function. Another way to do that is to take some of the courses at a website like memrise.com. MEMRISE. It's very little money. It's about $10 a month, and you can study all the language lessons you want. Many of them have a voice function attached to them. Yeah, man. Great question, Mel. Thank you for that. Ed says, Bud, I know you mentioned we should be age appropriate in selecting ladies. I read the profiles. Many ladies in Ukraine seem clustered around the ages of 27 to 29, 34 to 36. Am I wrong to question the ages? I feel one could safely add 5 to 10 years to the ages listed by many of the Ukrainian ladies. Tell me, am I right, please? Ed, I'm sorry, I don't quite have my mind wrapped around that, but here's how it goes. The women in Ukraine have told me, and what I will tell you is what they have told me. I have no reason to tell you otherwise. Women in Ukraine, women in China, women in Colombia, what they will say is, I don't mind meeting somebody older as long as we're from the same generation. In other words, if he's older than my parents, it's going to get a little weird. I don't know that I'm going to be attracted to him, and that's going to be a problem for us. He may be interesting to hang out with. We can eat sushi together, but is it going to get romantic? Am I going to marry this guy? Am I going to have this guy's children? Am I going to move halfway around the world and live my life with somebody who's older than my parents? I think the vast majority of women in Ukraine would not prefer to do that, as evidenced by what I've seen on 17 years of romance tours to Ukraine. Guys, I've done like 25 tours to Ukraine. I've met hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of men, thousands and thousands of women, literally. And so I think that's very reliable information. So when you meet somebody, you ask her, how old are your parents? If you're older than her parents, that's probably not the direction that you want to go in. So if you're in your 50s and 60s, guys, you're probably looking at women in their 30s and 40s, right? If you're in your 40s, you can meet women in their mid to late 20s. I wouldn't go any younger than that, but that's just my advice. You can do what you want. But that's what I think, Ed, all right? So I don't know your age, Edge. I don't know your age, Edge. Edge is great, man. I love Edge. What a great guitarist. Holy crap. If you ever have the chance to see Edge in concert, you got to go see this guy. This dude sounds like he's playing 100 guitars at one time. But I digress. All right. Splash. No relation to Slash. How do the women transition when they move to other countries? Great question. So the women will transition when they come to our country from their country, but there are cultural changes that are going to challenge them to some extent. Language might challenge them, so we need to learn the language. They're going to be isolated. It's going to be hard to talk to people. Our diet will challenge them because, quite frankly, our American food system sucks. It's one of the worst in the world. It's the reason why other people around the world are thin and healthy looking. It's not because they're starving. It's because they're eating more healthy food. They're cooking meals instead of eating a lot of processed crap. So to a certain extent, some of the elements in our diet are going to be a little tricky for them to digest. But you can help them by just allowing them to go and find what they're used to cooking and eating and join them, and it'll be fun and interesting for you. To a certain extent, they're going to want to communicate with their families back home regularly. That's not really a problem now. There are so many ways to make that possible for them, so they're going to want to do that, and then at some point they're going to want to go to work. The biggest challenge for women who come to this country from another country is not what you'd think, guys. The biggest challenge for women who come here from another country is boredom. After a couple of weeks, after a month, they're going to want to get out and do stuff. They're going to want to get out. We're going to want to work. They're going to contribute to the finances. They're going to want to, develop their life here and do the kinds of things here that they could do there wherever there was. So those are just some things that we have to anticipate and be prepared for, all of which are very, very, very navigable as long as we're prepared for them. Great question. Appreciate it. Todd says, do the men normally get a local cell phone to use when you're on a tour in another country? Is this recommended to save on the cost compared to using your regular cell phone? Yeah, as a matter of fact. Although, to tell you the truth, you could probably call your carrier before you travel and just say, hey, I'm traveling to another country. What do you got? Many carriers, they have pretty good travel packages now. They've got great international calling plans for text and data and access to the internet and such, because they were losing for years to the SIM card market, and I think they just got tired of it and became more competitive. So call your carrier first and ask them what they've got for you. You might find that very agreeable to be able to use your own cell phone when you travel abroad. Having said that, when we go to Ukraine, a lot of guys are using phones they buy locally. Very easy to do. We can do it very quickly when we're on the tour. We can even rent you cell phones that you can have for the duration of the tour. So there's always a way to help you get connected very, very affordably by phone to the people you're talking to there and people back at home. Great questions. We'll keep them going, guys. Mr. Wash says, it's been a while since I've been on. I'm interested in the Philippines. What happened to Jim? Don't know. John says, when making the rounds at one of these socials, how do you avoid giving off the wrong impression of just looking like a guy shopping at a meat market? It's obviously wise to be selective with your limited time, but how do you do it without coming off rude unintentionally? Great question. So, guys, we go completely out of our way. We go to great lengths, and we succeed, believe me, in showing the women when they step into one of our social events, this is anything but a meat market. This is an environment which is very respectful of the women. Believe me, we will go completely out of our way to make sure the women are comfortable, treated with a great deal of respect, given a good time. Again, I've said it many times, but it's true. If I have 30 guys on a tour, and 300 women come to a social in Ukraine. That's very typical. And all 30 guys go in, they meet a lot of women, and they leave the social with 3 dates. One right after the social, one for tomorrow in the afternoon, and one for tomorrow evening. That's 210 women that are going to go home without a date. So what do we do about that? What we do is we show them a good time. Plenty of champagne, plenty of food. It's not glamorous, but it's certainly nice. There'll be desserts, there'll be some chocolates, there'll be an entertainer to get the women up and involved. Maybe some dancing, maybe a dance contest. Maybe we'll give away a few prizes, a bottle of champagne, a bottle of chocolates. We'll have some fun. Why do we do that? Women in many countries work long hours, long days, day after day. They never go to a party. They never go to a free event, certainly not one on the level that we will throw for them. And we will bring them in and show them a great time. We love you. We appreciate you. We're here for you. We're trying very hard for you. And if it's not your night, we want you to at least tomorrow morning wake up and go, what a nice evening I had last night. What a rare, nice evening I had last night. I went, I was carefree, I was treated royally. That's exactly the environment that we create for you. So we'll do a lot of that for you, John. But when you're in the social itself, you have an interpreter partner. All of our social parties, everywhere we go around the world, we will assign you a very experienced partner. And her job is to get you through the social, meeting the women you want to meet, and not spending a lot of time with women that aren't right for you. So in the beginning of your social period, you're going to talk to that interpreter. I suggest buy her a drink, buy her a cup of coffee, get some juice, hang out for a few minutes and just talk to her. Talk about her and her experience, what she's seen, what she would suggest. Talk about you, what you're specifically looking for. And if somebody doesn't apply to what you're looking for, ask her to please excuse you. And she can keep a lot of those conversations from getting started so that you're never really in an awkward place. Now, obviously, it's a social event. It's 4 hours long, hundreds of people in the room. Not everybody you meet is going to be right for you or vice versa. But our staff will be very adept at helping you get around the room. Ladies, I'm sorry, John would like to meet women who are over the age of 30. You're a little young, you're beautiful, and we know we've got someone special for you waiting, but unfortunately, we have to move on. But thanks for meeting us. And something as simple as that, and the girls will say, okay, no problem. They won't give her a hard time. So let our staff kind of help you with that. At the end of the day, if you and a girl talk to each other and you're not right for each other, you just say, I feel we may not be right for each other romantically, but I think you're really interesting and you're very attractive, and I wish you a great social. I'm going to get out of your way so you can meet somebody because I really want to see you do that. And I feel really lucky to have met you. Just be polite, be friendly. Nobody's going to be rude to you if you just take that approach, and you will be absolutely fine. But dude, great question. I appreciate your attitude very much. All right. Right on. I got some good stuff coming up for you guys. Here we go. Voyou is asking, great advice. Wonder how so many guys have ended up getting drunk on a date. Well, I don't know how many guys end up getting drunk on a date. Probably 1 or 2 do. But for the most part, it's like this. Here's the deal, my friend. We got a 4-hour social coming up, right? And there's champagne going on. Some guys are very shy. Some guys want to meet the women, and they're excited about meeting the women, but they're a little bit nervous. I've seen this many times. Sometimes we're busy, we're running around during the day, and we don't take the time to eat, we don't take the time to sleep, we're a little worn down, and then we step into the social event. And then we drink. Right? Sometimes guys are trying to get a little bit of liquid courage going on, so they get just a little bit carried away and they get a little bit tipsy. I don't think this is a common event at all. If I gave that impression, I didn't mean to, because most guys don't get tipsy on their dates. I think most guys are quite successful with their dates. But every now and then, we have a little bit too much. And I will tell the guys as we're going to the social, and I'll tell them during our orientation, just watch your alcohol intake. Don't get tipsy, because if you get tipsy, you're not going to be able to recover from that by the end of the social event. That's not the way to leave a good impression. David says, is kissing the back of a girl's hand too American? Is it allowed on meeting women in Asia? Here's a great question. This is what I would suggest. I would definitely not do it as an introduction. I know guys, I remember this one guy, I called him Frank the Kissing Bandit, because I swear to God, every girl he met, he just wanted to kiss all the girls, right? Every girl he met, immediately, hello, welcome. He kissed every girl on the hand that he met, and most of the girls thought it was cute. A few of the girls, I noticed, were a little bit uncomfortable with it. He was harmless. He didn't mean any harm. It was just his way of getting introduced. I would suggest it's okay to kiss a girl's hand maybe on the second date. I would not kiss the girl's hand on the first date. I wouldn't kiss the girl on the first date unless you feel there's really tremendous attraction going on and she's reciprocating, you know, and she's touching and caressing and pulling you close, and you'll know. Believe me, you'll know. I think a kiss on the cheek is very appropriate for a second date. I think a kiss on the hand is very appropriate as long as those dates go very, very well. First date, second date, if she's attracted to you, you're going to know that by your second date. And then the two of you are off to the races, right? All right, I work with Robert, my good buddy Robert, and he's married to Marlon from the Philippines. He's got amazing, extensive experience there, and he says, for our reference, guys, in the Philippines, her touching you on a second date is a sure sign she's interested. Not to mean a shy, conservative, good girl may be receptive also. So, you know, the Philippines is one of those cultures. Robert and I have talked about this many times. So many beautiful women, so many great women for you guys, the Philippines, and they speak English. What a great, great opportunity. But sometimes they're conservative. Sometimes they're a little bit shy. So it is a little hard to read if someone's a little shy, right? If her personality is a little bit shy, it's going to be a little hard to draw that flirtatious, romantic smile out of her maybe, right? You may need to take a little bit more initiative if she's a little bit shy. But I bet if she's a little bit shy, she's not going to be shy if you just take gentle, gentlemanly initiative when it comes to, you know, smiling romantically, initiating that touch and closing that proximity. Robert says on a second date, the girl will be touching you. She'll be holding your hand. She'll be holding your arm. She will let you know that she accepts you and you're her guy. And Robert has said to me that you're out publicly and you're walking around, she's going to be holding on to you. That's her way of claiming you in the Philippine culture on that second date. She will definitely be touching you, holding your hand, holding your arm, something to let other girls know this is my guy. Very cool, right? Doug in Memphis asked me what is a proper age gap. Doug, I'm assuming you heard me just answer that. If not, bud@loveme.com, okay? Great questions, guys. A few more minutes for questions for you guys. Hope you're enjoying this. We do this every Monday night, right? We just hang out like this, answer your questions. You guys doing all right? Good information, right? This is video footage from Kherson's July tour. Kherson is a city in southern Ukraine. It's the third city on our Odessa, Nikolaev, Kherson tour. Actually, that looks like April because I see John in the background. So it must be April, Kherson, one of the smaller cities in Ukraine that we go to. And you're seeing the women who come in just checking into the social, right? We invite the women who are on our website, in our database, and they will come in, get a name badge, sign in, and then come into the event. There they go. Come down the stairs, come inside, check in at the check-in desk, get a name tag, and then go sit down and wait for the men to make the rounds and come and meet you. The men and their interpreters. This is a beautiful outdoor venue. We love it. It's a club. It's so gorgeous. You've probably seen this club in a number of different social parties that we've done in Kherson in the last year. Good stuff. And again, as you're watching men and women meet each other, watch the body language, because to me that's the most fun. Just watching the men and women meet each other, the smiles, the romantic smiles, the flirtatious touching, the caressing, the close proximity. It's good stuff, right? See, look how she leans in on Henry. Did you see that? Henry in the red shirt. And here's Paul talking to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I think 5 women. I think one of them, the one on the right, I think is his translator. And so these girls are talking to him. They're all looking at him. They're all leaning in. It's quite interesting, right? That's the kind of body language you want on a date, right, guys? David says, there are several women on the site that are from cities over 1,000 miles from Chongqing or Shenzhen. Can we send letters or presents or flowers to them? Sure, absolutely, David, do it. By all means, you can. You know, again, if you go to any girl's profile, there will be a box right next to her profile that says, basically, send me flowers, order me flowers. So you can click that box and it will take you to our page. And if you can look at the cities and see the cities that we deliver flowers and gifts to, we have flower and gift delivery all over the world in all of the countries that we have women from, so that should be no problem at all. All right, Robert says, I want to go to Peru at the end of the month. Good. Go. Talk to Anna and suggested to talk to Michelle. I've sent Michelle a letter on September 24th to request for signing up for the trip, but I've yet to hear from Michelle. Is there anyone else besides her I can roll the ball since time is short for the trip? Robert, here's the deal. Michelle is an amazing person that I work with. She does the work of 10 freaking people. She is incredible. She does all of the logistics for all of our tours, and I'm blessed every single day to have this woman working for me. She's incredible. We've buried Michelle in work and logistics for a bunch of tours. Getting signed up for the Peru tour is incredibly easy, and you don't need Michelle to do it. What you need to do is go to the website, go to the right column on our website where it says Latin Tours. I'll give you a screenshot right now. Go to loveme.com. Go right over here, tour dates and forms, tour dates for Latin America. And there you go, right there. You can do one of two things. You can either do a $475 deposit right here, or you can click the Peru tour that you want to attend right here, and then go down, fill out this information here, click through to the next page where we'll take your credit card in a very secure format, and you are in and on the tour. So I'm sorry for the confusion around that. Michelle's just been trying. I mean, we've had tours to Ukraine, tours to Costa Rica, tours to the Philippines. There's lots of stuff going on, and I'm absolutely sure that she's about to turn her attention full-time toward the Peru tour. But all you got to do is that, my friend. All you got to do is make your deposit to pay for the tour. We'll be right back in touch, and you most definitely can be on the tour doing great. If you need anything on Bud at loveme.com. All right, Rick says, not a question, but when I brought my Thai wife home, I found Asian grocery stores that would have the kind of food she liked. Make your lady feel comfortable. If you really want the marriage to work, let her be herself. Rick, that is great information. In fact, we see them all the time. We just don't pay much attention to them, right, guys? We see, Thai markets, Asian markets. Certainly there are Russian markets. There are a couple of them here in Phoenix. They're really in every large city. So you definitely can bring your girl here and help her to find the foods that are interesting to her. Not only that, but women are pretty smart at using social media to find each other. So women will find friends, usually couples where the guy's American and the girl is Thai or the girl's Chinese or Ukrainian. They'll find other couples and your social circle will expand a little bit, and that's all a good thing. Mark says, how do I know which women to talk to at a social with about 150 women in the room? You stand there with your interpreter, and the interpreter says, okay, let's look around the room a little bit. Just based on what you see in front of you, who would you like to meet? If you're in Ukraine, that's the format that we'll use, Mark, right? So you look around the room and you'll say, okay, that girl in the green dress, I think that girl over there in the red, maybe that girl there in the black. And the interpreter will say, great, would you like me to go and get them one at a time and bring them to you? Or would you like to go and meet them one at a time? You'll say, let's go and meet them. Great, let's go ahead. Your interpreter takes you by the arm, walks you over to the girl in the red dress. Hi, what is your name? Julia. Julia, this is Joe. He would like to meet you. Here's a little bit about Joe. And just like that, Julia turns around and says, oh, wow, good, nice to meet you. I'm really glad you came over to talk to me because I'm standing here with 300 women in the room and I want someone to talk to. So right away, you've got that positive body language thing going on. And you do that for 4 hours. And it's not like a marathon. You don't have to meet 100 women. You can't meet 100 women, right? But you can just pace yourself. Have a great conversation, arrange a date if you feel like it, go to the bar, get some sparkling water, talk for a minute, find someone else to talk to, go over and talk to somebody else, and pace yourself comfortably. You and your interpreter can determine how to do that. Now, that is the Ukrainian format. We're looking around the room, we have 300, 400 women in the room sometimes, guys, right? Everywhere else we go, China, Thailand, the Philippines, Peru, Costa Rica, Colombia, when we do tours and social events in those countries, we're going to do what's called speed dating. Only it's not that speedy. In other words, we have 4 hours. The women are going to come in. They're going to sit at a table. There'll be all kinds of tables. The women generally will stay at that table throughout the night. Every table has a number on it. Your interpreter has a list of table numbers, and her job is to take you from table 1 to table 2, to table 14, 15, etc. And to make sure by the time the night is over, you've met all the women at all the tables, and they've met you. And so it's very easy. You're going to end up talking to everybody in a very smooth, very fluid format that we use. And then as you find women that you're interested in and have a spark with, you step away from the table and you say, all right, that girl in the green dress, and she'll say, yeah, I noticed you really liked her, and she seems to like you too. I'll set up a date for you. Your interpreter will pull the girl aside. What are you doing later? What are you doing tomorrow? He would like to date you. Would you like to go out for dinner or coffee? Just like that. Then she comes back and says, okay, you got a date tonight, right after the social, and you keep right on going until you've got 3 or 4 dates. Just like that. It's a great question, my friend, but it's not hard to do, Mark, I promise. Couple more questions from you guys. Excellent questions tonight. I hope you're enjoying the presentation, the video. Your questions are great. Would it be better to ask a woman from the Philippines to marry you on a tour or wait to come back to visit? Antonio, I think any of the above is possible depending on the girl. I do know women in the Philippines are going to expect you to meet their family before they can accept a marriage proposal. They're going to need blessing of mom and dad. So how soon are you ready to do that? I think if you're on a tour, which is typically 7, 10, sometimes 14 days long, and you meet somebody, you're going to meet a lot of somebodies, you're going to have a bunch of dates, but then there's that one person you just have this incredible chemistry and attraction and rapport with. I mean, it's above anything else that you're experiencing with anybody else, right? So you spend extended time with that girl, 4, 5, 6, 7 days go by in a bunch of dates. You know, in Asian culture, many Asian women and many Asian people don't necessarily need a long drawn-out courtship. It's a very interesting concept, their attitude toward marriage. If I like you and you like me and we're both good people and we establish that, we'll get married and we'll make it work because that's what we do. It's interesting, right? I'm not saying that's right for everybody, but that definitely is the orientation for many women in Thailand, the Philippines, and China. So I think it's not uncommon for guys to come back from tours engaged to women that they've met. From what I've seen in the Philippines, that's actually a fairly common thing. But you are going to have to plan to spend exclusive time with your girl, a lot of exclusive time building that relationship. You are going to meet her family. You may need a couple of trips to meet her family. And everybody has to get on the same page, and you have to be ready to commit. And if all that goes well, I think it's quite possible to get engaged on your one tour. And if not, no doubt by your second trip back to spend more time together, you'll definitely be ready. And that's great. That's a blessed event, right? Santiago, final question for tonight from the Bronx. Any advice on Ukrainian ladies whose parents don't approve of her getting involved with an American? I met a girl in Ukraine, doesn't want to see me anymore because her parents object. I never met them. Yeah, to be honest with you, I don't think that's common. She must be really young. And if she's really young, Santiago, then maybe that's for the better, right? But at the end of the day, that's usually not an issue, to be honest with you. I mean, 99% of parents of daughters in Ukraine will have no problem with a girl being engaged to an American guy if she's mature enough for that. If she's 28, 29, 30, if she's 21, a lot of parents in Ukraine are going to go, look, 10 years from now, that would be one thing, right? I mean, if you hadn't met anybody or you got married and were divorced, you couldn't meet somebody, that would be one thing. You're 21 years old, you're 22 years old. I'm not ready for you to, go halfway around the world with some. I'm just not ready to do that. I want you to stay here and try your luck here. As a parent, as a dad, that's exactly the position that I would have if my 23-year-old daughter came to me and said, "Good news, Dad, I met a guy from another." I'm like, hell no, you're not doing that. You're too young. Who knows? But I just think that that's rare. I don't think that's common. I think most parents will be happy for their child if the child is mature enough to get married. And if the child is mature enough to move to another country and start life over. I think a lot of parents in Ukraine feel you have to be a certain age to do that. And it's not a given that if you're 18, 19, 20 and you meet a foreign guy, you're ready to get married and move to another country. That may not be the case. But again, most of the couples who are getting married, the women are over the age of 25. Most of the couples in Ukraine who are getting married, the women are 26, 28, 30, 33, etc. That's just how it is. That's how it plays out. And those women are typically mature enough to convince their parents that this is a good idea. Great questions. Whew, way to go, guys. Appreciate the conversation tonight. Very, very lively. Hope you liked the videos that we put up here for you from all over the world. Hope you enjoyed the presentation. How to know if a girl's into you. Dating, the good news is most of the time they're just going to be into you. The point is if she's not into you, there are a few things you can do, like extend your arm, reach out, offer a little bit of caress while you're talking to her. You have a good laugh. Just a little bit of touch to gauge her response. There are things you can do to help drive the chemistry between the two of you. At the end of the day, if for some reason she's not into you, that's rare, but if she's not into you, there's no reason to spend time with her. You can thank her for her time, move on, and find somebody who will be more than happy to respond to all of your advances and go in the direction you want that relationship to go. That's why we're here. That's why we're doing this, right? We want women who are going to respond to us. All right, guys, dating seminars coming up. A week from Saturday, a week from Sunday, 1 week from tonight. I will definitely be back this Wednesday night, right here, same time, Greg and Glenda are a great couple. Greg from Phoenix, Glenda's from the Philippines. They have a lovely son. They're an incredibly cute couple. She's adorable. Greg's awesome. They will be here to answer your questions about tours and meeting women in the Philippines, Philippine culture, etc. This Wednesday night. We do that every first Wednesday of every month, so they're on deck for this week. Got a lot of stuff coming up for you, right? BudAtLoveMe.com if you need anything in the meantime. Behind the scenes is my technician, Kirk. He's amazing. He's absolutely amazing in everything that he does. None of this would be possible without him, so thanks, buddy. Have a good night, guys. Have a great week.